Hello, everybody. It's good to have you here. I've decided to entitle this little lecture, I guess you might call it, as Magic Squares. Now, the reason that I'm making this video is because it's not that I don't think anybody that watches this at this particular, this is going to be an easy mate sequence, but it's not that I don't think anybody knows how to do it. It's that I was watching a game not too long ago where a fairly high rated player, 1700, 1800, came into this position. And I got to get it up here for you. Here we go. We have a white king on D1, a white rook on H1, and a black king on D8. Now, this particular player was, I would say, low on time. He wasn't. I think he was playing a blitz game like a 5-0 or something, and he had a little bit over a minute left, and they had really, played back and forth real quick, and they got down into this end game. Now, the importance of this particular end game that I want to point out is that when you get to this end game, you don't want to think. There are a lot of players that think, "Oh my gosh, what do I got to do to get that black king checkmated?" There's some easy steps involved, and the magic squares that I was talking about are these squares. On all four sides of the board, we have these squares. You'll also notice that the corner square is the opposite color to the magic square. If your magic squares are light colored, your corner square will be dark. And the same thing if your magic squares are dark colored, your corner square will be light colored. It's the same way on all four sides of the board. Now, this is important to remember because as you're doing this mate, you want to be able to get this mate down so that you don't have to think. You're just going to react and you're going to get it done within a minute. You should be able to make this mate in a minute or less, preferably about 30 seconds. So if you were low on time during the game and you only had like 45 seconds left, you should be able to make this mate without running out of time. Always remember, there are a few points to remember, that the opponent's king, if he's smart, is always going to march towards the center. Whatever he does, he's going to march towards the center. I'm doing it like this because you don't know what path he'll take, but he's always going to go to the center, because the longer the opponent's king is in the center, the longer it's going to take to get him to a corner square. Now, the opponent's king must be in a corner square for you to mate him, and the longer his king lingers in the center, the longer it's going to take to get him to a corner square. Now, as an example, if of course it's white to move, you move towards the center, he's going to go towards the center, no doubt. You just keep on coming towards the center. He's not going to waver over to the sides. He's going to come as much to the center as he can. Now, depending on which direction he goes, you're always going to do the same thing. Bring this rook over here. This will cut off this file. And right now, this rank is cut off. Now, it's going to get better as time goes on. But always remember, your job is to keep his king in this box that he's in, and always attempt to make that box smaller so that when you're done, he might be here, he might be here, but your job is to make this box so it's those four little squares over in the corner. Now, he's going to make a move, let's say it's similar to this. This is great. If he does this, bring the rook back. Now you've cut off this file. He can only go to this square or this square. He can't go to any other square. And he can't come to the E file. So let's say he moves here. Okay, fine. You move your rook to E3, and you've cut off this rank, and you've cut off this file. So now he's confined to this little box right here, this little rectangle right there. He can't move down to the H file or the H1 square. He can't go over to the A1 or the A8 square. He's going to get mated on the B8 on the H8 square, and there's no doubt about it. Because as he moves, if he moves in that way, now you move your rook up one, and now this file is cut off again still, and this rank is now cut off. So he's going to have, actually his box has actually gotten a little bit smaller. It may look the same size, but it's not really. He's more limited now because of his movements. If he moves his king over here, say okay, fine. He's still locked in. He can't come to this file, and he can't come near the king. So he can't move to this square, this square, this square, this square, or that square. Keeping the theme where he wants to be close to the center, he's going to move to G6 more than likely. Well, that's when you cut him off some more. Now this file is cut off, and this rank is cut off. So he can move here, he can move to this square, he can move to this square, and he can move back here, he can move over here. So as you can see, his little box has gotten smaller. So he might come over, he wants to be in the center. You say fine, okay, there you go. Now what's his king going to do? He's going to try to stay close to the center again, so he's going to probably move here. Cut him off again. Now you've cut off another rank, and you're maintaining the file cutoff, and his little square is getting smaller. So he's going to move probably here. Your job is now to get to the magic squares. You get to the magic squares, you're going to mate him in 1 or 2 moves, depending on where his king is at the time. You move your king over, he's going to come back, you say, okay, fine, I'll just move over here. Then as he moves around, he can't move, he can move here, but he's going to probably move here, and now you want to just move into your magic squares. I call them magic squares because they're so simple to remember. You get the king and the rook on these squares, his king will be mated in 1 or 2 moves. So now it's his move. Where's he going to go? Let's put him right here. Okay, fine. You're going to cut him off again. Now he can come here. You can cut him off again. Now your king is on a magic square. His king goes to H8. Well, you really, it's real simple now. You just move you don't need this magic square now. You just come here and he's mated. Now, let's say you wanted to move to the magic square. You could come here. All right. His king will come here. What do? You just waste a move back. He moves back over to H8, and bingo, he's checkmated. Now, that's all there is to it, to this mate. But you should be able to do this mate in less than a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a little test. As you can see, the bot for the king, rook, king is up and running, and he always seeks a game of 3-7. He always seeks a game of 3-7, but you can match him with any way that you want. Let me show this to you. King, rook, king, 1 minute, no increment, load game 20. Color you don't want to ever be auto, because if you're black, you're going to lose. You want to be white. Now when I hit this, I'm going to attempt to mate him in less than a minute. Basically 30 seconds. I have 29 seconds left on my clock. Basically 30 seconds. If I would have clicked once, or if I would have moved just a little bit differently, I would have mated him in 30 seconds. 31 seconds is about as fast as I've gotten so far. My goal is to get it down to 30 seconds because you don't want to think. You just want to move. You don't want to think where you're moving. You just want to move, cut off, and you want to make it to your magic squares. You get to your magic squares, you will mate the opponent's king. I hope this helps out. Like I said, I know most of you can do this mate, but can you do it in 30 seconds? That's something to strive for only because if you're playing a game and you're low on time and you've got less than a minute left and you have 0 increment on your clock, you want to know that you can make this mate in 30 seconds. Your opponent is going to think you can't, but you can. Now in 45, I mean, let's face it, you can add 2 or 3, 4 minutes to your clock just by making some quick moves, and you get 45 seconds at a shot. So it's not exactly hard work at that point. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if I can think of anything else to bring out to you for a small lecture, I will surely do it. Have a good day.